My name is Morgan, and I'm the founder and CEO of Supports Health. Now, before I dive into what we're doing, I want to first tell you why we're here, with one question that fundamentally changed my life about 3 years ago. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and the person that you cared more about than anything in the world was so depressed that they couldn't get out of bed? You come home from work at the end of the day and you need to worry about whether they had breakfast, let alone dinner, and now, yesterday, it was just another day. Today, all of this is your responsibility. What do you do? That's where I found myself about 3 years ago, and that's where about 360 million other caregivers of loved ones struggling with depression and anxiety find themselves in right now. When we did our research, we started looking at the Mental Health Commission of Canada, and about 4 or 5 years ago, the Mental Health Commission of Canada realized that this is a problem that we need to solve. Caregivers are at real risk of developing depression. The studies say about 1 in 3 chance. And then we started talking to users looking at secondary sources of research, and we found that there were really 3 problems. After about a year of caregiving, caregivers start to realize that they don't know everything, and they start to realize the things that they don't know. After a few years of caregiving, they start to realize that, hey, I'm starting to develop some proficiency, but I have in no way reached full competence as a caregiver. And then after like 10 years of caregiving, at this point, this is like almost half of my lifetime, there's still just days, weeks, and months where the stress or the burden of caregiving gets to you, and you just need someone to have your back and to support you. So we're looking to solve all of that by creating a mobile-first platform that gives caregivers access to better science, better tools, and monthly e-counseling. We teach them everything that they need to know through customized, engaging, easy-to-access content from mental health through to navigating the more formal regulatory and legal mental health systems. We give them the tools that they need both to maintain their own mental health and to provide excellent care to their loved one. And then finally, we provide them with monthly e-counseling, which is shown to not only benefit the caregiver just through the act of e-counseling, but also actually amplify both of these. And so, we're here today talking about the 360 million caregivers around the world of loved ones with depression and anxiety, but actually the problem's much bigger. The 360 million are just the people who are at risk of developing depression themselves. Globally, there's talk about $1 billion market. This is a 1 billion person market that we are going to address. And so, there are other people in this space looking at caregivers. However, this is probably my favorite slide on the entire deck because there's 2 really important things. The first is that everyone on this slide is more focused on solving a problem than making a buck, so collaboration is high. The second is that on this slide, there is no one whose sole and primary focus is supporting caregivers. And so we're going to learn from our competition about mental health and mental wellness. We're going to learn from our indirect competition about how to launch a mobile platform for e-health. And then finally, we will be the experts in caregiver health and support for those struggling with depression and anxiety. In terms of how we launch, it's pretty simple. We're again following kind of a fairly cookie-cutter model here, but adding our own flavor and twist, selling to consumers originally, so the caregivers themselves, rather than driving to a care center for social work counseling, you can get social work counseling plus all the other things I mentioned in our app. And then as we prove out the concept, distributing it through care centers. 2 of the people on that slide have already expressed interest in partnering with us. And then finally, of course, we'll be working with governments, which some of the absolute leaders in mental health period have already started to prove out. Behind me is the rest of my team. Up top is myself, founder and CEO, Rue Yap, who's actually here at U of T right now in the Masters of Science in Sustainable Management, which is an awesome program, so shout out to U of T for that. And then finally, Dr. Joel Rosenberg, who has 20 years of psychotherapy experience. Below are our expert advisors who have provided so much support, so thank you to them as well, with over 40 years experience in wellness app commercialization, business strategy, and of course, software development. So at this time, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone in this room for listening, coming here, and driving innovation forward. My only ask of you today is just please go onto our website, put in your email, join the movement. We'll be launching in May. And the more people that we can put behind this and reach out to, the better. So please help me and the rest of my team in driving the support that's demanded by government, care facilities, and caregivers themselves. Thank you so much. Hi everyone, you just heard from me on stage explaining the business model and the core concepts behind Supports Health. I now want to talk to you a little bit more about the Canada-Hong Kong Advantage, as well as a bit about our financing request and structure. So first, the Canada-Hong Kong Advantage boils down to two things. First one, by launching in both countries, we're servicing two very acute markets and needs in two sophisticated markets that are similar but not the same, and proving out both. There's an acute need in East Asia, and there's an acute need in North America and Western Europe for mental health services and the way that we're providing them. However, in Canada, that need centers more around the parent and family member, and then the peer supporter as young adults go off to university. So they're SOF, RA, or just friend, boyfriend, roommate. In Hong Kong, it's parents bear the brunt of that as well. However, due to the different cultural factors that influence both the way mental health is dealt with and the investment of the students' teachers bear the brunt of that mental health support and could be a great user for our apps as they're more invested in their student success, and there's a lower rate of diagnosis and, more importantly, treatment in a lot of East Asian countries. By proving this model out in Canada, it allows us to expand into the United States and Western Europe where those needs are similar, and by proving it out in Hong Kong, which is a comparatively friendly place to start business in East Asia, it allows us to tackle huge markets like Japan and Korea, who are outliers in terms of mental health in the wrong direction, unfortunately. Briefly talking about our deal structure and what we're looking for, we've already acquired $77,000 worth of funding to date, and we need another $100,000 to develop the app and launch a dual country marketing plan for the first year. We plan to structure this agreement in a simple SAFE, which will give both parties room for negotiation around the date and value cap at which it will be capped at, but allows us to have incentive to grow well. Finally, I just want to point out that all of this video, both the first part and this, were shot on a 1+5, just really to show our commitment to this Canada-Hong Kong Advantage. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.